Yo, what up, everybody? This is Mitch Darrell, and today I want to have a little bit of a conversation. Okay, something that I've been thinking about over the last couple of days, and the broad title is: do you think CHH is negative? When you hear the word CHH, does your mind immediately think of negativity? Do your eyes kind of roll? And an example of that is I know multiple people in the community who have the term CHH or the hashtag CHH muted on social media, not because they necessarily don't want to be a part of CHH, but because typically when that term is brought up, there's some negative things coming along with it. So, what made me specifically think about this, some tweets that my guy DJ Soap and Soapbox, he goes by both, he tweeted, okay? This was, I believe, 2 days ago. He said, I have something that's been in my heart about CHH. What bothers me is I rarely see public, gracious responses from some of the newer and younger CHH people to perceived slight. Yes, I believe cursing at fans and getting hype is a problem, and even justifying it is immature. He goes on to say, there's a lot of other ways to communicate, but swearing or clap back shows a lack of maturity. And also, I don't understand why there's a continued spotlight given to detractors, but fans aren't always, even rarely, responded to. This is an example of pride/ego. And he finishes off by saying, the best way to get a response from a CHH affiliated person is to say something that could be perceived as negative. So that really got me thinking, because I was like, I know that I struggle with this. I don't, I typically don't resort to cursing at people. But I have my fair share of me getting angry at people, specifically on Twitter, for negative statements. So I get both sides, right? I believe that when it comes to being a fan or a member of Christian hip hop that doesn't make the music, that's not an artist, it should come with a certain amount of respect for the people that are making the music that has made you a fan of this genre. You're not going to be a fan of everybody, but since this person is a member of this genre that you're a fan of, I don't believe you can talk to artists any kind of way. I don't believe you can talk crazy to them. I hate reading Lecrae's messages, Jackie Hill Perry's messages. They're full of people who probably consider themselves fans of Christian hip hop, but are saying nasty things, saying that this person is not a real Christian, that they need to repent, etc. These are people who obviously don't know these artists. Critique, I feel like, is fair to an extent, but people, to keep it blunt, people be talking crazy in the comments, right? Even smaller artists like me and some of my friends, there's maybe once a week or once every other week, there's a comment that is mad disrespectful, and it appears to be someone that might even be a fan of us who is being disrespectful. So I don't have a lot of sympathy for people who maybe get blocked or maybe even get a stern word said it their way because they're being disrespectful. I feel like that's fair, but I do think there's a limit. We probably shouldn't give a lot of our time and energy to that. We don't need to cuss this person out. Yeah, I feel like that's fair. On the other end of that, I do feel like in CHH we fail to show grace maybe quick enough. And I get it. I'm not perfect at all. I'm not judging anybody. But I'll notice that for me, if somebody maybe says something wrong, but then they turn around and apologize or try to explain what they meant, I am more likely to try to hear where you're coming from, accept the apology, and maybe move forward. But I feel like a lot of times in CHH, if someone does something wrong, says something wrong, artist or otherwise, grace isn't shown for days maybe. And it's one of those things where, you'll see people maybe get ganged up on, or it almost feels like someone's being attacked, and it'll take a couple of days before it dies down. And I get it. Emotions kind of run high. But I feel like it's something that overall in CHH we can work on, because there shouldn't be as much beef or tension amongst members of the CHH community because we're on the same team. I never like when I hear about brothers and sisters fighting or arguing or cussing at each other over a misunderstanding, especially if it's not anything egregious, just a misunderstanding, because it's like, if anybody should be able to show grace and understanding and mercy and get on the same page, it's us. It's us, right? So I get it. It's something just to work towards. It's not me saying I'm perfect. I definitely have fallen victim of this. I'm definitely an example of somebody who has done this before. But I just feel like it's something as a whole we can work on so that there's less drama in the genre. I don't blame people who don't necessarily want to be affiliated with CHH or even mute the term, because there's a lot of negativity, especially when that hashtag or that phrase is brought up. Now on the flip side of that, if y'all who are following me closely, you see that I've started the Hush segment on my show, where I take troll-like comments and kind of like explain why they shouldn't have been said, and politely telling the person to hush. And that's gonna be my way moving forward to kind of deal with those super trolly, like, not even necessarily towards me, but just those responses that I feel like could be better or are intentionally to troll. And it's supposed to be lighthearted and kind of informative. And it's going to keep me from maybe those extreme reactions where I might want to yell at somebody or cuss at somebody or etc. It's not reserved for people who say something constructive or who are genuinely giving suggestions. That's different than being a troll, in my opinion. But I felt like Soap had a good point. We as CHH artists, it probably is easier to get our attention with something negative, and I feel like that's probably the case for everybody. And it's not like we have time, especially the bigger artists, to sit around and maybe respond to every fan. But if I'm somebody who's super positive and I'm a big fan of yours, I've been to your shows, I buy your merch, and I tweet you every day. Not to say this is a specific case, but like, let's say there's that, and that person can't get the time of day, but then somebody who says something like, I didn't like that song, or this is trash, or I missed the old such and such, will get a conversation or get a back and forth or get spotlight shown on them. If I'm the person who's been mad supportive, I'm going to be like, is that the only way I can get your attention? Like, do you appreciate the positive as much as you don't appreciate the negative, if that makes sense? As much as you hate the negative, do you appreciate the positive? Because at the end of the day, it tends to balance out. Like, actually, it's probably typically more. There's typically maybe 10 times more positive comments, unless you're Lecrae, than there are negative comments. So I just think we should try our best to tune out the negative. If it's a genuine mistake and, a person apologizes, they offended us, they did something wrong, they said something wrong, and they own that and they apologize, it's something that, especially publicly, I think it's important for us to try to show grace and just show an example of that. Because, people mess up. We all mess up. I've definitely, especially when I was younger, I had the terrible experience of kind of making a mistake and then kind of being ganged up on, jumped online, basically, where it feels like you can't say the right thing and you're sorry, but no one believes that you're sorry, and it's something that can really discourage somebody. So again, I'm not trying to sound holier than thou. This is just I feel like DjSoap made a good point, and I felt like it didn't get talked about enough, so I said, you know what, let me bring it up on the show. So yeah, more positive. Rap should be fun. Everything should be fun. This is Christian hip hop. We're all on the same team. We are all on the same team. That's the thing. That's the thing where, as much as we as a community want to move forward, we cannot continue to bicker with each other and try to fight each other all the time. Because if you're on the outside looking in, you're going to be like, these Christian hip hop artists, these Christian rappers, all they do is argue with each other. Like, aren't they supposed to be on the same team? They're on the same side. If anybody should be getting along as CHH people. We're supposed to be a family. So, just on both ends, I'd say for the fans and the non-artists, be respectful. Really try to put yourself in the shoes of the artist and don't say anything crazy or out the window, and artists, we should treat you with respect as well. We should be appreciative of those who are positive and who really genuinely support us, and try to give less time to the negative. Try to give less time to the negative. I feel like it'll make CHH better as a whole. It'll make us better Christians. It'll make us closer And I feel like CHH can only go up from here. So hope I made some sense. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.